So I'm going to record this.
Great.
Right. Welcome. I'm Heather Andrade. I am one of the leaders of the Keep Metacomet Green grassroots group that is trying to save the green space at Metacomet Golf Course, located on the scenic Veterans Memorial Highway in East Providence, Rhode Island. We started these interviews because we thought our residents needed some facts, some information that is from experts in certain fields. So today we have Curt Spalding, who currently is a professor at Brown, but was the Save the Bay executive director for 18 years and many, many more accomplishments. So Curt, thank you so much for doing this interview with us.
Thank you, Heather. Pleased to be here.
Now, why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, you did a great job. My time at Save the Bay was really important. From my point of view, I helped with many other people do something that's quite historic, and that's restore the health of Narragansett Bay to a level that it's not been in many, many decades. And that especially speaks to the area off of Metacomet, the area on the Upper Bay. So that's a big accomplishment I'm very proud of. And then others, I served as President Obama's regional administrator for the Environmental Protection Agency up in Boston for 7 years. So I got to see a lot of issues around the region, and I really became interested in how urban communities are restoring nature and their relationship to nature. Because everything we know about the well-being of urban communities is that connection to nature helps people in so many ways in terms of their health, their mental well-being, just the well-being of the community. So that's the other part that I think really matters here.
And I agree, because I live near the golf course, and when I come down that parkway, it's nice to see. It's like a pleasure. The endorphins get going.
Yes.
And it's great. And I know other people feel that way. Now, let me catch you with floodwaters. What do you think is going to happen to that cove?
So one of the issues I raised, and I should explain my relationship to the property. So Brown University, or people who work at Brown, are afforded the ability to play golf there at a reasonable rate. So I played golf there for, I think, 3 or 4 years and got to know the property very well. So because of my experience in environmental matters and Save the Bay and the like, I have a pretty good handle on how land and water connect. And one thing that was very interesting to me was the hydrological connection of the golf course to the bay, commonly called Wachamoka Cove, but of course Wachamoka Cove goes out into the Providence River and the larger Narragansett Bay system. And just watching that connection, watching how the rack line moves up and how the marsh grasses are migrating inland because of sea level rise. And it became clear to me that the property itself is an actual buffer for what's going to happen on the bay. The bay itself is going to rise significantly in terms of the seawater. It's essentially rising perhaps as much as 1.5 to 2 or 3 feet by 2050. And we're right at the inflection point right now. This decade, right now, we are at the inflection point when sea level rise will increase very quickly. And so what will happen, or what is important about Metacomet, it's a place where water can go. A lot of the upper bay is all walled off. And the ability to migrate marsh inland will only help preserve marsh quality across the bay. So the big problem is we have all these people living along the bay with these seawalls. Where will the water go? Where will the marshes go? And in the case of Metacomet, the marshes have the opportunity to migrate inland. And that's very, very important to the health of the bay. Now, is it going to be possible to sustain the golf course? Yes, with some planning and some adaptation, of course. Golf courses and golfers are used to playing around natural hazards. That's the beauty of the game. It's a game that involves nature. So, but for the several decades ahead, Metacomet could be a place where marshes can migrate and we could sustain the habitats of the bay.
But we have to think of the future. We can't think of
Absolutely.
just,
I mean,
just,
my whole orientation on this issue is as much about the future as it is about today. I mean, today, and I do want to say this, I talked about the connection. When we clean up a water body like Narragansett Bay or Providence River and have it be much better than it was decades ago. So we have menhaden coming up the bay. We have striped bass in the spring as long as 40 inches and weighing over 40 pounds in the bay. We've had a tremendous restoration and recovery. And part of that is the land along the bay. So just last week, I'm sorry, we had 2 young eagles, young bald eagles in where I live, which is in Edgewood. Now, Edgewood, as the crow flies, is not very far from where you live. Of course, we got to go around the top and drive down. But for those birds, it's all the same place. So the point is the raptor population in the Upper Bay depends on that Metacomet property. And why are they here? Well, they're here because there's menhaden in the bay. There's been a recovery of the bay. So now we're seeing the recovery of a whole ecosystem, both water and land. They are together. They aren't apart. We don't save the bay and not worry about the land. And quite frankly, for me, this has been a challenge because I don't see our environmental policy really across the region, but here in Rhode Island, conscious of that. When you clean up you spend billions literally to clean up the Providence River, you should be trying to acquire the open spaces along the river. So the recovering wildlife has a place to go and be healthy. And that's not really happened. We did do that. That was our big idea when we built the Save the Bay Center across the river. We took a brownfield and we restored it as habitat. And then Johnson & Wales restored the shoreline as habitat. Well, that was a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of work. It makes a lot more sense to conserve what you have than have to restore what's contaminated, like we had to do. But the whole area of the Upper Bay, now that it's recovered, now that we have eagles, osprey, big fish, we should look at this whole area as we got to save every last piece of green space we have. It's already so heavily paved over. I mean, gosh, it's pavement everywhere. So let's conserve what we have and let's not pave anymore. Let's use what we have or repurpose what we have. There's certainly a lot of open paved areas that can be repurposed for economic use. So let's do that instead of paved over green areas.
I agree. It's science. It's science.
It is ecological science.
Right.
It's very hard, and it's been a big challenge of mine to get people to think about the whole system. The bay is not just the water, and then it's a connected ecology between the open space of Metacomet and Narragansett Bay and the wildlife that uses the space. Again, my favorite is the fact that we had these eagles that they actually were leaving menhaden around the neighborhood. I saw a head on a sidewalk. I thought that was fascinating to see. I mean, it's just a different world.
Right. So as you know, Keep Metacomet Green is fighting to keep that green space.
Absolutely, and you're to be applauded.
And we want to do everything that we can, and we appreciate you coming on and giving us some scientific facts of what is going to happen. And now what can we do to stop it? Keep Metacomet green, correct?
Well, I think there's 2 things. First, you have to keep making these connections for people. You can never stop on the message that Metacomet is vital to the Upper Bay's ecology. It's vital to the health of the people who live in the greater area of East Providence. I just add to that, we are going to be much warmer here by 2050. The air temperature will go up. Our climate will be a lot more like New Jersey, even Maryland by then. And there's something called the heat island effect. So our urban places are going to be much warmer. And a place like Metacomet has a cooling effect on a community. And it's a large area, so it has a big cooling effect. It's like having an air conditioner because at night it can it can cool the area, as opposed to if it was paved, it holds the heat, and things never cool down, so they heat up again the next day. So again, articulating why it matters to the health and well-being of the community, not just today, but what's coming. And then the second point, and this is really important, and it's something we used to do at Save the Bay, is make sure that the political leadership, the people who aspire to lead the community, to be mayors, to be state reps, to be senators, to be governors, and we're going to have a lot of elections coming, make sure they know that what the people want in that area is this property conserved. They have the means to do it. I was part of a campaign many years ago to conserve some property down in Narragansett called Black Point. Ended up the state bought it. Governor DePrete decided to take the property and conserve it. I think that is important, that the political leaders need to be continually reminded. And this isn't a statement about their lack of attention, but they're getting a tremendous amount of pressure on them all different ways. So you have to stay this, you have to stay at it. Your communications, your efforts have to be continuous. And when the moment comes, you have to be capable and powerful in that view. And then what you are doing, from what I understand, you're putting the data together. You're figuring out what it could be potentially acquired for. What's the real value? I will say it is. We wouldn't be here, but for a really unfortunate set of circumstances, a decline. Essentially, the way the membership ran the place, frankly. I mean, I think most people who know golf courses and golf memberships know you needed to broaden your appeal, and they didn't. And then, of course, the ownership group came in and perhaps we know they weren't committed to what they said they were going to do. And then the group that bought it, hard to understand. They said they were going to buy it only if they've got a zoning change. They didn't get the zoning change and they bought it anyways. And they're very constrained despite what they say. So I think the circumstances here are very unfortunate that we got to where we're at. So it's going to take a very concerted, determined, persistent effort to secure the property.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Curt. And yes, we are a determined effort.
Well, I want to say, and I need to say this to all of you, I've been around many years, right? I've seen efforts like yours, grassroots efforts to do important things. The speed and togetherness you all showed, and the level of sophistication, you keep Metacomet green, and those posters behind you, and standing on the road, and the numbers of people who signed onto your Facebook page. I mean, it was incredible how quickly you mobilized. And quite frankly, those of us who've been watching this issue for a couple of years, I mean, we're all sitting there playing golf every day, every week going, well, what's really going to happen? You shocked the world. You really did. You shocked the Rhode Island world that this could happen and happen so fast, and show strength. You showed such strength. So I think you all need to be incredibly proud of where you are, and feel that pride as you go forward, knowing it's a long haul. You have to hang in there for a long time, and they're going to want to wear you down. So you have to show that you have the resources and the stick-to-itiveness to make it happen.
Oh, thank you so much, Curt. I'm sure we are all humbled by your words, and but we are here for the long haul. So
Here you are. Well, best of luck with it, and again, anytime. Hopefully, we'll see some use of it, but certainly conservation of it in the near term.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much, Curt, for being here.
Thank you, Heather. Enjoy your day.